Welcome in, Iowa Hawkeye fans, to another episode of the Hawkeye Tailgate Report. I am Luke Myers. Joey and Austin are doing it over Skype tonight. Fellas, how we doing?
Pretty good, fuck it. I'm not going to say that I'm not doing good. I was a 2 seed for the first time since 1987 or whatever, so that's cause for celebration.
Yeah. Still got a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth from that game on Saturday, but I'm getting over it slowly.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that Illinois is just better than we are. Like, we could have played better, absolutely, but there's no shame in losing to them because they're just really good.
There's no shame in losing to them, but I don't know. Are we going to talk about this game right away or what?
Yeah, I mean...
Okay, well, the effort that was put in by the Hawkeyes on Saturday, not for the whole game, but there was like a 3 to 5 possession stretch in the first half where I was embarrassed to be in that stadium as an Iowa fan. I sunk in my chair from what appeared to be the lack of effort by the Hawkeyes. There was 3 or 4 possessions in a row where Illinois had fast break dunks or fast break layups, and not a single person on the court in an Iowa uniform was hustling at all. I know on fast breaks you're not going to try to bust your ass down the court every time, but nobody was moving. And to even inbound the ball, the ball was just rolling around on the floor for 5 seconds before anybody picked it up. I was just I was very frustrated with that. And that didn't go on the whole game, but that, I don't know, it seemed definitely from the tip of that game, Illinois wanted it more. And I think that was pretty obvious.
Well, what drove me nuts about the play in the Big Ten tournament by the Hawks was the defense. The defense was fine against Wisconsin, but when we went up against Cockburn, he just absolutely raped us. And it was obvious what was we were doubling Luke, where we were sending Luka to double on screens up at top of the key, and Cockburn would just float down to the bottom, and it would result in a pretty uncontested hammer. What did he have in the first half? 18 points.
It's not that we were sending Luka to double. It's just that teams, especially teams that have a good center, like what Illinois does, knows that Luka is not the greatest defender, and he's vulnerable in the screen and roll situation. And time after time, Cockburn would go up. Cockburn, let's not call him Cockburn, but Cockburn would go up and set a screen, and then Luka, time after time, would keep switching on to, if it was Desumu or the point guard or whoever it was that was bringing up the ball, he'd switch, and then Cockburn, he's fucking built. He is a big dude. He just rolled to the hoop, and we have no other size on the court outside of Luka. And it happened a lot in the Wisconsin game before that too, where Luka kept getting pulled out on the screen and roll. But with Wisconsin, their centers at least can credibly shoot from 3-point range. With Illinois, Cockburn was not about to be putting up threes, so there was no reason for him to commit to switching on to, whoever was the ball handler, because it just ended up backfiring every single time. And that's a defensive. I'm not putting the blame squarely on Luka, although we all know his defense isn't the greatest. More than anything, I feel like that's a coaching issue to not identify that and then just sit him down and be like, hey, this is what they're doing. We cannot continue to do this, because they burned us on it so many times in that first half.
Yeah, and I'm hesitant. Yeah, like Austin was saying, I'm hesitant to put the blame on Luka there too, because we don't have another big.
Yeah,
and we're coming off a back-to-back. So I'll cut him some slack on that. But you look at the game that Cockburn had yesterday against Ohio State. He had somewhat a pedestrian game. I think he had 16 points against EJ Liddell, and Liddell is 6'7".
Yeah.
I think if we had another somebody that we would have known about that we could put in, against Illinois, they brought in a Gundele for the end of the first half.
That's the best coaching decision McCaffrey has made the entire season,
and that was awesome.
And bully him around. Doesn't matter if he picks up a foul, because he's not going to contribute, but we just, without Nunji, we don't have a second big man depth. So then, Luka, who's already not great at defense, can't overcommit to things, because if he gets in foul trouble early, we're especially screwed. So, just having a Gundele out there, he only played a minute, but he was able to just, physical up Cockburn and just like he played good defense, and it was at the end of a half where Luka couldn't pick up another foul. That was a great coaching decision by McCaffrey there. And I think like especially in the tournament with Nunji not without him being available, that is the thing that concerns me the most about this team is depth at the center position. Like if Luka picks up 2 fouls in a first half, first of all, McCaffrey absolutely would have to like give up on his rule of sitting the person for the rest of the half, depending on how much time is left. But it just puts us in such a bad spot. Not so much offensively because we have enough guys that can put the ball in the hoop, but from the defensive end, like if we play a team that has a big center, like Grand Canyon's got a 7-footer who averages like 16 points a game and 10 rebounds. If Luka gets into foul trouble early there, that could be a big problem for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to say we have a bunch of scores, but what did we go the first 4 minutes the other day without a bucket? And like the droughts still happen way more frequently than I'd like. It's so confusing why it happens from time to time. Like if it wasn't for Bohannon scoring 11 and Wheezy 12 in the first half the other day, like that game is terribly out or like over at half. Whereas what were we down? 8? 6?
Yeah, and that was a disaster in itself.
Oh my God, that
last possession of the first half.
That last sequence pissed me off. I think more than anything that's happened this entire year. Where down 6 points, you have the ball, you can dribble it out to the last shot. At worst, you're going into halftime. You think down 6. At best, you get it down to 3 or 4. And then we just have a lazy, sloppy turnover, which turns into a dunk for Illinois to end the half. And then instead of going in down 6, you're down 8. Illinois carries all of the momentum with them. I feel like that was a big moment in the game because, like, even if you just take that lead down to 6, like, you're feeling a lot better. But then just the way that it unfolded, it could not have been a worse finish to the first half.
I would have been 100% okay if they ran the old Mike Casella offense there, where he just dribbles it up the court, dribbles out the clock, and then either drives or puts up a shot. Have Bohannon bring that ball up the court, hold it for 25 seconds, shoot it.
Shoot a 30-footer. Because that's about...
You cannot let Illinois score on that possession.
Yeah, that was real bad.
That was, yeah. And then Illinois pushed it out to 15, I think, to start the second half then. But, yeah, Joey, what were you saying?
Yeah, the way that we ended the first half and started the second half was an absolute train wreck of a disaster. Like, I think they rattled off, like, an 8-0 run, like, before the first media timeout. I don't want to say it buried us, like, then and there, because we did end up getting it down to 5 points with, like, 3.5 minutes left. But it just took all the air out of us, and it made the hill that we have to climb so much bigger. And against a team like Illinois, especially, like, in an Iowa-Illinois game where there's recently kind of some bad blood and like the teams just straight up don't like each other, it makes the task so much more difficult when like your own just mental mistakes create like a bigger challenge than what already just beating Illinois is.
And obviously you want to win that game and play in the Big Ten championship. That's obviously the best option, but I think losing that game might be a good thing for us in the long run because you don't have to turn over and play a highly intense game the next day. And I don't know if their lack of effort, I hate to call it that, but they looked slow out there. And I don't know if that's like CJ, he doesn't look healthy.
Well, and after the game, Fran said that him and Wheezy really like were just looking right at the end of the game.
A week off for those two could do them wonders. Mm-hmm. And Lord knows Luka needs it. So I think that's a silver lining for me there is that they're getting some time to take care of themselves before we need them on Saturday.
If you want another silver lining, I was listening to Pardon My Take today, and they had John Rothstein on there. And he said that 7 of the last 8 NCAA tournament champions did not win their conference tournament.
Yep. I heard that yesterday or something like that, but I don't know if that's just coincidence or what.
It's a trend.
It is.
Well, look, silver linings, Luke. You don't have to try to pick it apart.
Another silver lining is that we got back at 2:30 in the afternoon instead of 2:30 in the morning from Indy yesterday.
God, that would have been horrible. I mean, it would have been worth it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
like with the losing an hour of sleep and everything, today would have been an absolutely miserable day at work. It still wasn't great because it's a day at work and it was a Monday, but
it's only a 3-day week, Stan. Now a 2-day week.
bless.
But yeah, so it got up to 15 to start the second half. Terrible. Like, it was for about probably 10 minutes there. It was basically we'd go down and score, they'd go down and score, we'd go down and score, they'd go down and score. And finally...
I think it was specifically we were getting it between 9 and 11 points for basically an entire media timeout section. Like they would get a bucket, we'd get a bucket, they'd get a bucket, and it was just back and forth and back and forth. And that was really frustrating because we were making shots, which is what we had to do, but then we just could not get a stop for the life of us.
Yeah, and then we finally get something going. We get a bucket, and then Connor draws a flagrant one. Still haven't seen that replay. Have no idea what happened.
Evan said it wasn't as bad. It wasn't that bad on TV, he said.
Yeah, I did not ever see what happened there, but I'm pretty sure that's the same guy that
the headbutt.
Yeah.
So there's history there. And so our 58% foul shooter steps up and knocks down the 2 biggest free throws of the year. And then we get it. Was that to get it to 5? Was that to get it to 5 then? Or was that...
I don't know.
I think that was as close as we got.
When we got it down to 5, I legitimately thought that, I'm not going to say that I thought that we were going to win. I thought it was going to come down to the wire. And then Illinois just went on a quick 6-0, and that was pretty much the game after that. But when we got it down to 5, I was feeling really good. It felt like we had all the momentum going for us. And then Illinois just went on a real quick run. And basically, that was the end of the game.
But wasn't there J-Bo brought it up and pulled the trigger on a 3 that would have really cut it down to 2 or something, and he missed, and it led to a transition bucket for Illinois? Maybe I'm wrong in remembering that.
I'm not exactly sure, but I never felt like we were going to win that game.
Oh, yeah. No, never for a minute. Never for a minute. I know we all went in expecting to lose. And I didn't think it was going to be particularly close because I just had a terrible, terrible feeling.
I think what I called pretty much exactly what happened. We sort of close in the first half and then get away from us, but they did make it a little close at the end, but I still didn't.
Yeah, it's a shame that Wieskamp 3 at the end ended up getting waved off after the fact.
Yeah.
I thought he got sure.
Joey, would you like to talk a little shit about your least favorite chant that Illinois fans did?
Which one was that again?
The overrated.
Oh, okay, yeah. Listen, Scuba brought this up too, but if you are ranked, it doesn't matter what you're ranked compared to the other team, but especially if you're more highly ranked and you're chanting overrated at a player on the other team or at the other team in general, not only are you belittling your own achievements by beating a team that's pretty good, but it's just a stupid chant to do.
It is, and it's I can understand if you do that if there's a player that's highly touted on the other team and they put up a stinker. Luka had 21 and 10. That's not a bad game. We get we think of that as a bad game in Luka terms because if he doesn't score 29 or something like that, we're oh, we had an off night. But 21 and 10 is a fucking great game by pretty much every center in the entire country. It's just the moment and the player and everything around that situation was just really dumb.
Yeah, and I'm shocked that chant even gets going anymore because I feel like the majority of the people share that opinion with us that it's just a dumb chant. Almost everybody I talk to thinks it's stupid. So I don't know who's starting this chant.
And that was another big difference in the game. There was certainly an assload more Illinois fans than there was Iowa fans.
They definitely had a home crowd advantage, without a doubt.
And you couldn't even really tell there were Iowa fans there. Not until they got it down close late were you able to tell.
Even then, I was looking around, there was not a ton of black and gold in the stands.
No. It was kind of disappointing, honestly.
Orange Crush showed out, but they were a lot closer.
Yeah, it's also 3 hours closer for them.
I know.
And especially this tournament, it was hard to
Right.
Like, it was a miracle that we went, pretty much. It's hard to figure out.
Circumstances
we didn't know.
surrounding this made it, like, I'm not disappointed by the fan shot, because just, like, I can understand if people would not have gone because of COVID situations, and then they were only selling 8,000 tickets, and when you split a session between 4 teams' fan bases, I mean...
Well, and when they announced 1 week before the tournament that you plan to go Friday, Saturday, a lot of people couldn't get off Friday to go to that game, so they would just go to the Saturday one like us, and they didn't want to buy tickets and then have to sell them. So I understand that, but the atmosphere in general at Lucas Oil,
I thought it was good.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
the 8,000 people thing, you don't realize how nice it is, like sitting with space in an arena.
Well, to be fair, I mean, it's 8,000 people in a football stadium that holds like 70,000, so the spacing's a lot better than if you have 8,000 people.
But there was other perks as well, like you walked right up to the beer line, bam, out.
Find bathroom.
Yeah.
So there was perks, a nice stadium.
That might be my preferred way to view a basketball game moving forward. Just like 8,000 people, football stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Our seats ended up being fine anyway.
I hate crowds, so it was nice. And they already had the March Madness court set up on the other half of the field, which I thought was kind of cool to see from our seats.
I do hope that if Iowa gets to that point that fans do travel for it. I mean, I'm not saying I will, but I would heavily consider it.
You mean if they get like to the Final Four?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would.
That would be a stretch, but
I would travel for that, but I'm not going to go for anything less than that.
But that's a good transition here to, we can talk about the NCAA tournament. Now that we have a bracket for the first time in something like 770 days or whatever. So, or I don't know how long it is. I saw somebody post something about it. I can't really speak to much of the other bracket. I remember Iowa's region pretty damn well, though, and I think they got a good cut. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Gonzaga being the 1 seed and in our region is tough because Gonzaga has just proven, like, throughout the year that they're the best team in basketball, and they've beaten us. But besides that, I think that we have a pretty favorable path, at least to get to the Elite 8. I think that Kansas could be a team that could trip us up, but they, just recently had a COVID thing, not really sure how things are sitting with them, and they just kind of had, an all-year of Kansas, but I think that, at an absolute minimum, we are making the Sweet 16. But, I think that all said and done, we got a pretty favorable draw.
I mean, I think there's a lot of good storyline opportunities in the region because obviously Iowa Gonzaga, but you could also get Iowa Drake if, what is his name, Hemphill comes back for Drake.
I think they're planning on it.
And then and then they tie together a couple, maybe Iowa and Drake meet in, the Sweet 16. And then if Iowa wins the first round game against Grand Canyon, they play Oregon. And I also saw today that Oregon doesn't have a starter that's taller than 6'6".
Ooh, no way.
That just I didn't fact check it, but it is the Pac-12. So
if they don't got to start over 6'6", Luka's just gonna fucking feast.
Also, I mean, I could eat these words later, but I'm not really afraid of any Pac-12 team.
Never have been.
No, I just don't think. I don't know.
They just seem like a not very good conference.
Yeah.
When was the last time they won? I know it's been forever for the Big Ten, but
had to be like Arizona a long time ago.
UCLA maybe? No.
Yeah.
USC? No.
I feel like Arizona won it in the early 2000s.
Oregon made it to the Final Four a couple of years ago, I think.
Really? Yeah, they did. When they had Peyton Pritchard, I'm pretty sure.
That guy with the long feathery hair?
No,
Peyton Pritchard was last year.
Point guard. He was only No, he was more than.
He played last year.
We played Oregon in the NIT one year, and they had that guy with the full head.
2011. That's when we played them.
Retire basketball because he had some heart condition or whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
Feathered and lethal.
But so 9 Big Ten teams. Illinois at 1, Ohio State at 2, Iowa at 2, Michigan at 1.
I would be so happy. It would be hilarious if the whole Final Four was the Big Ten teams. Because it could be, right? It could be Illinois,
Yeah, it
Ohio
could be.
State, Iowa,
There's a
Michigan.
1 and a 2 in like a 1 or a 2 in each region.
That would just be awesome.
So I mean, like, it would be shocking because just like for 4 teams from any one conference to make it that far would be pretty remarkable. Like regardless of how highly seeded they are, but that'd be something.
If the Big Ten is as good as they've been saying, I mean, we've been saying that.
I mean, if we're going to be honest about it, though, Iowa is probably the team that has like the worst chance of being one of the 4 Big Ten teams to represent in the Final Four, just because
they have to play Gonzaga.
Yeah, assuming that Gonzaga rolls most of their competition and Iowa makes it to that point, we would have to go through Gonzaga.
I mean, it was pretty much destiny that Iowa and Gonzaga were going to line up together again, because obviously they're not going to be the 2 in the Big Ten or with the 1 in the Big Ten brackets. And it was that or Baylor. And I don't know.
If they do meet up again, we forgot to talk about this from the game on Saturday. We have got to see more Tony Perkins guarding.
Oh, yeah, I was going to bring him up.
Guarding Jalen Suggs. Yeah. Because when Perkins came in, he was guarding Ayo.
He was guarding him well, and then also, and we hadn't seen this much this year, but he was giving us a boost offensively. He was driving to the rim and like getting in there. He had 4 points only, so it's not like it was huge, but like it was a change in pace from everything that we had been doing in like to that point offensively in the second half.
Yeah. He was a spark plug for our mini comeback.
Slowly but surely, the freshmen this year have come in key moments and really shown out and given me so much more hope for next year.
Yeah, hope for the next 2 or 3 years. We could be like known for being a defensive team when you got Keegan, Perkins,
Toussaint
Ogundele. I mean, we saw him very briefly, but if he looks like he's not afraid to bang around in there, and that's
I've seen like Gundele up close in person a couple times. He's a lad. He's one of those guys where you're like, oh well, he's 6'10". Like it's one of those things where you know that they're big, but then you see him in person and you're like, holy shit, that person is big. That was the reaction I had when I saw him like close up for the first time.
Big baby Ogundele.
Yeah, and then we just got what was that guy's name? We just landed from out east.
That 6'11" dude.
Riley Mulvey. He's a 3-star on 24/7. I'm waiting for people to start making the Luka comparisons.
Syracuse, he was like one of their main priorities, and we got him. And he's from like the New York area too, so that's a big get.
Yeah, and it in theory, our recruits should only continue to get better because, if we have a good showing this year.
Yeah, I was going to say how we fare in this tournament, I think will have a big impact on like some of our more ambitious recruiting goals, specifically Omaha Blue, but I'm going to be honest with myself, I don't think that I was going to get him just because like he's a top 5 national prospect in his class. When you've got Duke, North Carolina, like fucking UCLA, Michigan State, like when you have all of those people recruiting you, it's got to be a pretty tough sales pitch to be like, play for Iowa.
Yeah, but you look at Duke out of the tournament. North Carolina a 9 seed or an 8 seed. UCLA and Michigan State are 11 seeds.
Yeah, I think that like this year, especially with like kind of it just being a wacky COVID year, even though they were like none of those teams were good this year, I would still call that more of an exception year as opposed to the rule. Because I mean, they have just proven over time that they're consistently like top 15 caliber teams year after year.
Yeah, I know, but let's see if we can sneak out an Elite 8 this year before dropping it to Gonzaga and try and land a few more recruits though. But before moving on, we should probably hit up our sponsors here. We got Demer Oil out of Dubuque County. It's almost a springtime now, but they can still help you out with really anything you're looking for to keep your house warm. They can get you LP, just anything in general. They sell Phoenix grills. They're 3 best sellers of Phoenix grills, all set up and ready for you to take home. Toby and Whitey Demer is who you're going to want to look for. Austin, was it you who looked up oil jokes?
Yes.
Do you have one this week?
Keep going with the other ad, and then I'll come back to you because I just pulled it up. So I want to have a bit of a second to do some research.
Okay. It's DemerOilInc.com. Their phone number is 1-800-433-3835. Toby and Whitey is who you're going to want to look for. And then we got Rolling Hills Pork out of Farley as well. Wes Henderson can often be found at Cobra Lane's Family Fun Center in Farley. Go get some meat from him. He's given us some pork chops, bacon, some brats. Haven't cooked those up yet, but the pork chops, just nice, moist, thick. Everything you'd want in a pork chop. I'm not a big pork chop guy myself, but sure hit the spot a couple weeks ago when we grilled him up. His phone number is 319-461-5520. Call him up. Rolling Hills Pork out of Farley. Wes Henderson. Austin, you got your joke.
I do got my joke. And also, I'd just like to say, whenever Wes's meat is in my mouth, it's a good day.
I've also got a pig joke too.
Ooh, okay.
Who would like to go first?
We'll start with the oil joke. As a kid, I always insisted on having olive oil on my pasta instead of meat sauce. Maybe that's why I'm a virgin.
Yeah.
All right, Joey.
What do you get if you cross a dinosaur with a pig? Jurassic Pork.
Oh, okay. That's Rolling Hills Pork, Wes Henderson out of Farley, and Demer Oil Inc. out of Dubuque County as well. All right, so just announced today, better hit on this, Fran McCaffrey lockdown through 2027-2028.
What secures the best of the McCaffrey boys coming to Iowa City, staying in Iowa City?
Not only that, it secures the legacy Hawks, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about it earlier, Jack McCaffrey, the youngest McCaffrey boy, who's supposed to be the best. I mean, he's what?
So, I've heard that, and I say it. I don't know who I've ever heard that from that's like a credible source on like saying he's the best McCaffrey.
But it's exciting. And actually, I think it was Patrick I saw on Twitter saying that he's probably just hyping up his brother, but they say he's hit a growth spurt and he's the best shooter of the three, so
that's probably saying a whole lot.
And then you got Luke Wieskamp, solid first name. He's a 8th grader right now, I believe. Actually, McCaffrey and Wieskamp played on the same AAU team, right? They play on the Barnstormers?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you got Kareem Earl, AC Earl's son, which he's a freshman at Iowa City West right now, averaged 7.5 this year, I believe. So, not sure what's happening on that front, but it would still be cool to see him in Iowa City.
Also, that's just an absolute A-plus first name for a basketball player.
Oh,
I mean,
Kareem?
If you have somebody on a team named Kareem, you can't go wrong. That's a fact.
He better have a sky hook in his bag.
Well, we're still waiting on Lucas.
Yeah, apparently Luka is waiting for the last big tournament to finally break it out. That or he played a long con on us, god damn it.
It's do or die now, he has to. Yeah, but Fran broke here for 7 more years, and I'm a big fan of it. I'm assuming you two are as well.
As long as he'd like, just like Kirk.
When they give out long contract extensions like this, I like it, but at the same time, I'm like, when I saw it was extended through 2027, 2028, I'm like, that's not even a real time frame for basketball, because fucking coaches get big contract extensions all the time, and then they have 2 bad seasons, and then they get fucking canned. That's just the way. Not saying that's going to happen, but I saw that and I was like, well, that's so far in the future, I don't even have to worry about it.
The great thing is, it's not our money. Well, it kind of is, but if he gets canned.
Yeah, the athletic department is self-sustaining. They don't receive any state funds, so it basically is our money. Every time I go to a game or buy an Iowa shirt or a hat or something, basically I am paying Fran McCaffrey's salary, so you guys can thank me.
Oh man, I should clip that and put it online. But yeah, so I don't know if you saw my tweet today about the numbers comparing him and the last 5 coaches before him.
Nope.
He has this, obviously Tom Davis is the GOAT, right? But then he's Fran's second on the all-time wins list and tied for second for NCAA tournament appearances, although he should be ahead, but last year didn't count. So, yeah, like his winning percentage above 58%, I believe, or 57%. And considering he started with an absolute fucking pile of garbage.
Where we had to start when he got here. I mean, God. I feel like once every fifth podcast we bring up how terrible the Todd Licklider days were. But God, it was so horrible. It was so horrible.
And it was only 3 years.
It feels like it was like a decade.
Yeah, it was like before I found out it was only 3 years, if you would have asked me, I would have said like probably 5 or 6. Like just absolutely brutal basketball. And to think, people, like, okay, so what was it? 2017-18 was a bad year, right? But before that, like, we've made the NCAA tournament all but one of those years in, like, the last 6 years. So,
I think so.
What was that?
I'm just trying to think, because Fran has made 5 tournaments as the Iowa head coach.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, what are you thinking of?
I'm just trying to do... Yeah, I guess, whatever. Nothing. I was trying to do some mental gymnastics, but that never ends well.
14, 15, 16, 17 NIT, 18 terrible year, 19 tournament, 20 would have been tournament, and 21, of course, number 2 seed, best in program history. But did this year put the Fran February fade to bed for you guys?
Yes,
I would say so.
Because you couldn't have denied you couldn't. I know it's a stupid thing, but it was absolutely still there. Like it happened every year.
Well, there was even thoughts that it was happening this year too, and then they just went on a run.
They won 8 of 9 to end the year, but yeah, at the beginning of February, I don't even remember what happened. We lost to Indiana, was it?
Indiana twice in the span of 4 games. I cannot fucking believe that we lost to Indiana twice this year. Archie Miller got fired.
Yeah, he is.
Well, and the second time we lost to them, people were saying that they could be a tournament team, and you looked at their wins, their only good wins were against
Iowa,
us.
Yeah. And in both of those games, we had double-digit second half leads.
Well, if you want to talk about not very good teams, making the tournament from the Big Ten. How was Rutgers so solidified into that NCAA tournament?
I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying. All along, everybody's been blowing the Big Ten about being so good. I think that the top 4 teams are very good. After that, it's pretty sus.
I don't know. I like Purdue a lot.
Purdue.
Yeah, Purdue's legit.
Yeah, I don't know. Rutgers, everybody just thought was a lock. Well, not everybody, but the committee obviously did. And they just didn't impress me at all when we played them.
Rutgers beat Syracuse, Maryland. Ooh, they did beat Illinois by 3 in December. They did beat Purdue. Beat Michigan State.
Did Michigan State get in?
Yeah, they're in a
11 against UCLA.
In terms of actual teams, probably not going to be that great of a game. But in terms of name recognition, got to be the best first 4 game of in tournament history. UCLA, Michigan State.
Maybe the only one before that probably would have been us and Tennessee in 2014.
And us and Tennessee are on different levels when you're talking about college basketball programs historically than Michigan State and UCLA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that before this year, that probably would have been it.
Even Michigan State, what was their record?
That win at the end of the year against Michigan is probably what got them in.
I'm not a...
Well, that was a hell of a win.
I would not break a single sweat. Because, I don't know, I have no idea how Rutgers beat Illinois. That had to just be luck.
Yeah, I don't know. The Big Ten was kind of weird like that. Minnesota had 4... Minnesota was a terrible team. They beat Iowa at home. They beat Michigan at home. They beat one other of the league's top teams. I think it was Ohio State. They had some of the best wins in league play, and they won like 13 games all season. It was just kind of that weird year in the Big Ten where like the depth was good enough where like there was an outside chance that any team could win on any given night, but usually the best teams did. But it was just, I guess, just like one of those iron sharpens iron. If you play enough good teams all the time, like eventually maybe you'll just put together one performance, and that's what Rutgers did a couple times.
Yeah, Michigan State went 15-12, by the way.
15-12? Was that their final record was?
Yeah.
Ay, caramba.
That is bad. I mean, Maryland got in with 16-13, but...
See, I don't understand that at all.
Well, I think they beat Illinois and Wisconsin, like, back-to-back.
Wisconsin's not that good.
Well, it was when Maryland, Wisconsin was number 6.
Maryland, Rutgers, Michigan State, Wisconsin. I don't think any of those teams are... Like, if I was playing them in the tournament, I would not be nervous at all. I just think there's got to be better options than those. And that's where I'm saying the Big Ten is overrated, you know? They're valuing that way too much, I think. I could see the Big Ten underperforming in the NCAA tournament and just those teams.
I don't know. I think Illinois is very... I mean, I'm not going to say they're a lock to make it to the Final Four, but if I had to pick a team right now to go to the Final Four, they would be my pick.
I'm not talking about the top 4. I'm saying the last 5 teams could lose very early on.
I don't know. I'd put Illinois closer to the top 4 or Indiana closer to the top 4, or fucking Purdue. I'd put Purdue closer to the top 4 with Iowa, Illinois, Ohio State, and Michigan than I would to Rutgers, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Michigan State. But would you like to make a prediction in your bracket, right? Or where's Iowa getting? I think it'd be unanimous.
I'll be honest, I haven't looked at the whole bracket yet. I've only looked at Iowa's region, but I think they should at least make it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I'm thinking Elite Eight, and as much as I'd like to say, yeah, hell yeah, Final Four, as this team currently sits, I don't see us beating Gonzaga. They're a freight train.
You need to play the game of your year, and Luka needs to break out the sky hook.
This is what everybody's been asking for all along. Everybody wanted that rematch with Gonzaga, and I said, I don't think you do.
I do. Well, I mean, would you? I would rather play Gonzaga than Illinois again in the Elite Eight, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
No.
I would. That's an easy 10 out of 10 times you ask me that question. I'm picking Gonzaga over Illinois.
Based on what?
Based on what? Illinois being an absolute fucking unit right now?
Gonzaga hasn't lost all season.
They were down by 14 against BYU in the conference championship game. They were trailing a couple games ago to Pacific maybe in the second half. Like, they're looking more vulnerable than not.
I don't know. Like, their conference outside of them sucks. And that's kind of a thing where, like, if they really wanted to, they could move to a better one. But it helps them to be, in the West Coast Conference and kind of just be the only team. But they more than made up for that this year with, like, who they scheduled in their non-conference. Like, they played Iowa. They played, like, they beat Iowa. They
Virginia, Kansas, I believe.
Yeah, like, they had a game scheduled against Baylor. Like, they did enough to, like, prove that they're legit with their non-conference schedule that I'm not going to look at them. Still, let's not discredit this. They did not lose a game this entire season.
Not slipping up against the Bunnies is something that not a lot of teams can do.
Especially, like, when you're as good as they are and you kind of have, like, the perception around you that everybody's saying this team should go undefeated, like, in their conference slate. Like, that can get to players' heads, and it's easy enough to overlook an opponent like one night and just slip up and lose. Like, we should not be undervaluing the fact that they just had an undefeated regular season. It does not happen very often. Yeah,
I know, but I'll never give them credit. I will always give them less credit for playing in the WCC, whether it be right or wrong in your opinion. I'm just always going to have that opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that, like, for them, it's a no-lose situation to be in that conference because they're just going to be the freight train that runs through it the whole time. But, like, if they really, really wanted to, like, step up to be, like, on more of a national scale, they could move into the Pac-12. Like, and I know that we already kind of shit on the Pac-12 earlier, but, like, obviously the competition in the Pac-12 is going to be markedly better than what it is in the West Coast Conference. Like, if you're Gonzaga, you're ranked, like, in the top 5 a lot of years anyway, or, like, at least the top 25. What is your incentive to move into the Pac-12 or a different league where you have the potential to lose more games on a consistent basis?
Let's play a fun game here. Outside of Gonzaga and BYU, can you name 3 other WCC teams?
St. Mary's.
Washington State.
No.
Nope. Okay, then no.
Let me double check.
I think St. John's, maybe.
I'm pulling it up. I can name
There's
3.
One Saint something in there.
St. Mary's is the only one you have correct so far.
Well, I'm 1 of 2. 50%, I'll take it.
The 2 I would have named were San Francisco and Pacific.
SF Austin.
No, that's Texas. You moron.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, yeah, it's just a joke. But
yeah,
whatever. They're still a really good team. Like, I'm not gonna take that away from them. They are a very, very, very good team. But yeah. All right. Do we have anything else basketball related we'd want to talk about before we get going?
Oh, should we invite the people to, if they want to be in your bracket challenge, to DM us and?
Oh yeah, if you want to be in a bracket challenge, $5 entry. You can enter as many as 10 times, but it's $5 a bracket, so be careful what you do. Unsure what the payouts will be once I get everybody's money and everybody has a bracket in. I can figure that out. The password for the group is all caps Go Hawks, and my Venmo is Myers_Luke, where you shoot the $5 too.
You should have just told them to DM you if they want in for the details, because now we could just get a bunch of unsolicited entries without any pay.
If you listen to this, don't do that.
Yeah, don't be a jerk.
Also, I'm pretty sure I found a way to game the system already. I was talking to Joey about this. So, Uncle Joe's stimulus is about to hit. I can have 280 entries at $5. There's no way if I put it all in there, I don't win with 280 attempts.
Didn't you spend your stimmy already on some other things?
Like a stiffy?
I think that's pretty funny, too. The stimuluses are rolling out this week, stimuli, and it's all just like a lot of it is going to be used on under-the-table gambling for the NCAA tournament.
I think I got a message from my bank that mine's supposed to hit on Wednesday. So, just
I'm 0 for 2 on those, so I probably won't get this one either.
So do you guys want to have circle talk or whatever?
What?
Like what we usually do at the end of the show?
Oh, I don't have anything. I thought you were asking us if we wanted to come over and have a circle jerk.
A little backhand.
Yeah. Should I think of one on the fly here?
Well, I don't know. There's a little like football. Well, yeah, I guess the football team officially announced the hires for offensive line and running backs coach. I especially like Liddell Betts as the new running backs coach.
I'm always a big fan of bringing back former players, especially one that was great at their position.
Mm-hmm. And he's been coaching high school down in Florida, so he's got like still a Southern connection because that's where we get a lot of our skill players from, is like down in the South. So I like that in terms of like how it could potentially help out recruiting as well.
Yeah, no, it's a great move. And then we got George Barnett, right? Offensive line coach.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I knew a whole lot about him.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm just...
What I've read, it seems like it's a pretty universally liked move, so I'll take it.
Yep. And then, are they having a combine this year? Or no?
I don't think so.
All right. Because I'd love to see Brandon Smith absolutely destroy that. But
he's a freak.
Yeah, that dude is an animal. And Amir Smith-Marset would probably break some records in the 40 time. And then do a flip and hurt himself. Yeah. So we're not going to do one of those? Or I guess wrestling is this weekend too, right?
Starts on Wednesday.
Yeah, starts on Wednesday. All 10 wrestlers made it.
Yeah, we should, I don't want to jinx anything, but we should pretty much steamroll our way to a team championship this year.
Austin, this was like you the other day at the Iowa-Illinois game when J-Bo got fouled and went to the line and said, oh, yeah, these are gonna go in.
No, I said, don't quote me wrong when I screwed up. I said, that's 2 points. Immediately he missed.
Well, that's worse. And then he misses the first one.
Yeah.
It was a 90% foul shooter.
In my favor there. But, Iowa's toughest competition for a national championship in wrestling is is either Penn State or Michigan or any other team from the Big Ten, basically. And we just kick the shit out of everybody in the Big Ten championship. So there's no reason, outside of an injury or just some absolutely wild upsets early on in the tournament, that Iowa does not win this.
It was kind of funny. So the whole Big Ten is good for the most part. And I was looking at the team standings during the Big Ten championships, and freaking Maryland had 2 team points.
Nice.
That killed me. Everybody else is up there near 100 or whatever, doing all right, and then bam, 2. Bam. Absolutely miserable. But I guess they're just not a wrestling school, so.
Not everybody can be Iowa.
Nope. Also, I guess mention quick the Lady Hawks. I guess, yeah, definitely have to mention them. Just absolutely steamrolled their way to the Big Ten championship. Big Ten championship game, got killed by Maryland. But they probably the bracket was released tonight. I haven't seen yet. They're probably a 6 or a 7 seed, I'd imagine. But yeah, Austin, what's the girl? I can't pronounce it.
Sinano.
And you're white.
She went off the first game for 36 or 38 points on 14 of 16 shooting.
It was very efficient.
Yeah, and then the next game, Gabby Marshall popped off from 3-point range, and then Caitlin Clark was great throughout all of it. Probably the most consistently good program at Iowa over the last, aside from wrestling, over the last 5 years.
Wrestling, haven't won a national championship. Still placing top 3, but yeah, they're good. Lisa Bluter, she's a great coach.
She's as good of I'd probably say she's the second best coach at Iowa.
Just look at the coaches across the board, though. It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Kirk, Brands, and Bluter.
Oh, and then
Rick Heller
doing some shit with baseball. We got a new track and field and cross country coach, and they won the Big Ten championships this year for the first time in forever.
And for the first time ever mentioned on the podcast, I believe the men's gymnastics team did some stuff, didn't they?
I have no clue.
Yeah, I think women's gymnastics won the Big Ten this year.
Maybe that was it.
They were undefeated in Big Ten. I think they shared a Big Ten title.
Big gymnastic guys.
Yeah.
You come at us with, I think the men's gymnastics team just did something.
Yeah. You didn't really set us up. Yeah. You didn't set us up very well for that one, Luke.
I'm just trying to include everybody, all right?
Well, women's swimming and diving back full time.
Yep.
That's because Gary Barta was terrified that he was going to lose another lawsuit, which was going to happen.
He's good at that.
He leads the nation.
Undefeated.
He leads the nation in athletic directors losing lawsuits.
Yeah, he's probably towards the top as far as gross money lost, I'd imagine.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
But it's never resulted in sanctions or anything for the teams, so yet.
Yeah. Hey, just another thing that we're first in.
The other thing I can think of is Luka's getting his number retired. Absolutely deserved.
That's up there for one of the coolest sports moments I've witnessed, I think, when they announced it and he gave that little speech. That and Joe Mauer's last game when he came out and caught.
I cried like a little bitch. Unreal how much I cried. Yeah. So, but do you guys have anything else you want to add?
Are you going to do the circle jerk talk or no?
Well, what are we going to talk about?
You decide. You're the one you said you would decide. If you don't have anything good, we don't have to.
Yeah, I was going to say. It's better to just end on a good note.
All right. Well, if you guys don't have anything more.
I did maybe the whitest thing of my entire life today. I got replacement pieces for my Crocs in the mail, and I was very excited about it.
All right.
Oh, wait, no, I got something too. Little NBA talk. Tune in tonight at 9:30 for Warriors-Lakers. I received some feedback from my father that he didn't like the NBA talk. So, Dad, if you're listening, there's not much left in the podcast, but now we're talking about the NBA, so you can turn it off.
Yeah, let's see if Dad listens to this. Dad, if you listen to this and you're to this point, send us a text, and I'll buy you a drink when we're in Florida.
Send us a text that says, LeBron greater than MJ. And we'll know you listened all the way to this point.
I doubt he will. Do we want to place money on this?
I don't know.
Nah.
He definitely won't listen to it before we go to Florida.
No. Maybe on the plane. But, all right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of the Hawkeye Tailgate Report. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podbean. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show's is HTR_pod. Mine is Myers_Luke. Joey's is Joe Mama 2196. Austin's is Myers Austin. NCAA tournament, guys. We've waited a couple years for this, so let's enjoy it a little bit, and hopefully Iowa puts together a good run. Thanks for listening, and as always, go Hawks.
Nebraska.